days ago, I was out for a walk when I went to check the time and I thought about my watch. It's a common thing with me, getting distracted by my watch and actually forgetting to notice the time. I'm sure I'm not the only one, right? But the first thought that came to my mind was, why do I own this Cartier Tank? And I didn't ask that question in terms of why do I own this, I don't even like it, but kind of the opposite. Why do I even like this watch? Because honestly, this watch doesn't make a lot of sense for me, and yet I really like it. Not just like it, but I like wearing it. And liking a specific watch and liking to wear a specific watch, those are two distinct things. I've learned that the hard way. And by the way, this mesh bracelet, it's nothing special. You can find dozens of these for less than $20 all over the internet. They're basically all the same. When you look at my collection, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense that I have a watch like this. And you can look at my collection. This is my most recent watch collection video. It's linked to in this video's description. I showed my face in that video, but I haven't showed it much since because YouTube keeps telling me that my face was, quote, not suitable for general audiences, whatever that means. But over the years, I've learned that I like sport watches, big and small, often on the bigger side, but mostly watches with good water resistance and good legibility and informal. That's just my lifestyle. I don't own a suit, I'm not invited to formal events since the incident, and I find myself around water honestly a bit too often. And your watches should reflect either how you live or how you want to live, and I'm not a fancy person, and I don't want to go to those formal events, even if there is an ice cream bar with unlimited toppings. It's fine, I'm fine. And yet, I own a small, dressy, hydrophobic watch, and I wear it a lot and I love it. Oh, and it's quartz. Yeah, this is the Cartier Tank, and it's from the Musts collection, which was revived a few years ago. The Musts collection has always been about affordable entries into Cartier, and this Tank Must in the large size was the first light-powered watch from Cartier ever. Not its first quartz watch, but its first photovoltaic watch. And when I bought it, it was just under $3,000, which is another head-scratcher. Why would someone spend that much money on a quartz watch? Honestly, why would anyone spend that kind of money on any watch, quartz or mechanical? It seems like a lot of people are more comfortable spending thousands of dollars on a luxury good if they think it was more expensive and more difficult to make. Oh, someone had to build this thing by hand and the parts are really expensive? Okay, I'll pay more for it. That makes sense to me. But honestly, does it? Does it make sense to spend more money on a mechanical watch that is more fragile and more complicated and will require a lot more expensive maintenance? People do. Many of you have and will and do and did. A Veblen good is a type of luxury good for which the demand increases as the price increases, an apparent contradiction of the law of demand resulting in an upward sloping demand curve. The truth is, there are things, luxury goods, that people want to spend lots of money on, and within a certain range, the more it costs, the more people want it. And while that sounds like the symptoms of a mental illness, it's fine. People want to feel that they're treating themselves, and the more money they spend, the better they feel sometimes. And that's all relevant to this watch and me owning this watch, because this tank design is one of the oldest and most copied watch designs ever in the world forever and ever. There are dozens of watches that look like this Cartier Tank that costs less than 1/10 of the price of this real tank. And since the tank I own is quartz anyway, why would anyone own this one? I mean, look at this Seiko SWR049. It looks a lot like the Cartier. It's the same size as the one I own, it's just as accurate, but the Cartier one costs 15 times the price of this one. And you can say that the Cartier is more refined and that the subtle design elements of the real tank are better, and I agree, but $3,000 better? These watches do the same thing and they look pretty close to each other. So why did I do this? Well, the short answer is I'm a sucker. I'm an easy mark. I fell for it. The marketing got to me. I'm being honest and vulnerable here. I want to own a Cartier. I want to own the Cartier Tank, except no substitutes. I wanted that name on the dial that only I can see. I wanted to know that my watch wasn't copying some other watch. I wanted to know that other watches were copying the one that I owned. I'm vain and I'm classist and I'm better than people who can't own a Cartier? No, I don't really think that, but I have surprised myself when reflecting on why I own this tiny quartz watch. And all of this probably seems obvious to anyone not neck deep in this watch collecting hobby. A normie would look at the expensive watches in my collection and say, oh, you're a brand you love brands and status. and I guess they might be right. If you're also a watch collector and you have bought yourself a luxury watch or two, you're the same. And I can hear people saying, no, I own 3 Rolex Daytonas because Rolex makes the best watches and I like cars and it's about the art of mechanical watchmaking. And honestly, that's just the kind of lack of self-awareness I'd expect from most Rolex owners. I said most, I'm not talking about you, of course. I guess I'm talking about me, and it took this small electric-powered dress watch to finally give me some insights on what I am and how I do. But also, I really like how this looks on my 7-inch wrist and how it feels, and I really like how accurate it is. And yes, I also like that it says Cartier, and then it means that I'm more important than most people. Again, not you, of course.